everybody, Queen Bee here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to a special Dawn of Man discussion about the upcoming update 1.6, version 1.6, the Armoury update. Now, what do we know about the update as it stands? Well, we know that we are getting armour, hence the name. The first armour that we are getting is leather armour. You can see the pictures here. And the second armor that we will be getting is the chainmetal armor, which is obviously made with iron. Now, we haven't had any confirmation that we're going to get any armor for the Bronze Age period, and so the assumption is that you make your leather armor and then you stay in that until the Iron Age. Now, it would be nice to see that third tier, or that middle tier of armour come in for the Bronze Age, because during the Bronze Age, warriors did carry shields, check, swords, check, spears, check, but they also wore bronze armour and a helmet. So it would be nice to see that come in, but if we only get the two tiers of armour, the leather and the iron, the chainmail, that's fantastic. And you can see in these images that there's a lot of detail going into them, a lot of work, and they look cool, don't they? Really, really cool. So we can also safely assume that with this comes damage resistance for our people, for our population. The armor will make them more resistant within battle. However, we can also assume that at the same time, the damage resistance will be applied to the raiders. So I don't think that this will give us any particular bonus in battle over the raiders when it comes to fighting them, but it does give us more to craft, more stuff to build, to craft, and I'm assuming to unlock within the tech tree. Now, when the farming update came out, Madrigal Works added the ability to unlock the plough within the tech tree. Now, whether this armor update will, I don't know, come with the ability to, at the same time, the ability to unlock the shield, or unlock when you unlock. Well, it won't come when you unlock swords, because that's far too late for the leather update. So yeah, I mean, it might come when we unlock shields, but I'm assuming that they will add in a whole new element of tech to unlock, as they did with the plough. We also know that with this armor update comes a new building, which is the Armoury. And you can see that here on the screen now, and doesn't it look great? They're, again, wonderful work from Madrigal Works. Really looking nice. We can see that there are shields outside, so we can assume, it hasn't been confirmed, but we can assume that they will no longer be crafted at the workshop, and that they will be crafted at the Armoury. This would be quite welcome, because since that farming update, we've got a lot of ploughs to craft. Ploughs degrade very quickly, and the workshop, if you've played much of this at all, you will know that you're always cranking out those ploughs from those workshops and those carts and those sledges. So being able to craft shields in the workshop is fantastic. So let's hope that that is where it's going. It certainly looks that way from these images. Now, we can assume that the armoury will be shields and armour. Whether it will also include swords, I'm not sure. I would assume those will still be crafted as the blacksmith, because that's quite traditional. That's how it is, or how it was realistically. Okay, so that's as much really from the tidbits that Madrigal Works have put out that we know. We know there's going to be a building. We know that there's going to be at least 2 levels of armour, leather and chainmail. But let's take a look at a discussion about what we would like to see when considering this update. Any other battle-related features that I would like to see. Now, I can't take credit for all of these. I've spotted some of these around the internet. One that I would like to see is a catapult. Certainly in the latter eras, The ability, I mean, we've got rocks, we can mine rocks already, we can make slings, we've got our workshop. We could easily build a catapult, and that would help with our fortifications. Could place them just around the weaker areas or the more targeted areas of the raiders. Be a real simple add-on and a nice welcome addition, I think, to fortifications. Now, the other thing that I would love to see is an abatis. Now, an abatis is a defense structure. And if you've ever seen the films, as for example, The Kingdom, around the fortress, you've got the stone wall, and then you've got a defense structure of spiked sticks. And an abatis is a defense structure. It's a line of felled trees where the boughs have been sharpened into spikes, and that would be really in keeping with the whole Dawn of Man um, fortifications elements. And again, really simple to integrate. Something else we can build. It would be something we could put on the corners and around the gateways where the raiders love to hit us where it hurts and just protect our walls a little bit more. Now, another thing that I've seen discussed is hot oil, and that would be quite simple to make as well because you've got the pigs. You could be harvesting them for sallow as well as meat and skin. But it would be fun, and I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice to see, but it was rarely used in historic times. It's more commonly seen in TV when they tip the hot oil from the battlements onto the people below. But it would not be a bad thing to include. But we don't want to go OP on battlements. If I had the choice, I would like to see the spikes, then maybe a catapult. I'd rather see this last of all. Another thing that I did see mentioned, and I can't quite remember where I saw that. I think it was on as a reply to one of Madruga Works' tweets. I think it was on the picture of the Armoury. Go and have a look. It's a comment saying about an armory rack that can be placed near walls, so that armor and swords etc. can be kept right at the walls, so that the citizens can run, pick them up when the raiders are there, and they're all there waiting for you. Now that's a really good idea. I think it's very similar to the inclusion of a transport post. It would work very well. However, I think most of our citizens generally are already carrying around certain weapons. I might be wrong on that, but I don't often see them going for their sword. I did actually spot somebody walking to get their sword the other day in my Northlands series, but it would be very in keeping. Whether or not it's necessary is another thing, but in keeping, another thing to build. Thumbs up to that. Really like that. Now, one more mention has gone to something that I've seen a number of times is a field hospital. Now, that's not appropriate for the eras. However, it doesn't mean that something like a herbalist or a shaman or a healer, maybe a witch doctor in the early days, those would be really useful. You could start out the shaman or a witch doctor and progress up the eras and get yourself your herbalist and your healer. They'd be really useful to heal the sick and the injured. So you've got disease, you've got health issues, got hypothermia, people that get into a bit of a rough and tumble with the larger animals or the raiders. If they survive, they can go to your herbalist or your healer, your shaman, and just get perked up a little bit. But it would maybe affect the workload because they're not working. There's a bit of downtime, so it's a bit of give and take. But again, you'd have another structure to build. You'd have it would be amazing, absolutely amazing. Special gathering area for herbs. Right, okay, so the other thing that I kind of briefly touched on earlier is that there are images of body armor, but there's no battle helmets, and I would like to see battle helmets. I would like to see bronze and iron battle helmets at the very least. They are very relevant to the age. They're very in keeping, and then one thing that hasn't been included is headwear, and yeah, I'd very much like to see that. The ability to go and raid the raiders has been discussed numerous times by numerous people, and that would be wonderful. I'm not too bothered about it. I'm fine with the raiders coming to us, but it would require the inclusion of raider settlements on the map, but it would also encourage us as players to explore further. So it wouldn't be unwelcome, but I'm not overly bothered. What I am bothered about, and it kind of does go nicely with the ability to go and raid raiders, is the ability to make multiple well-functioning settlements. Now, regardless of an armory update, I would love to see that. That would be fantastic, and I know a lot of other people would as well. Once you set your settlement up, you want to be able to go and you want to be able to do satellite communities that you can build up and have functioning like your main community. Problem is that it just doesn't support that at the moment. The raiders don't go to the right place, they don't attack both places. It just doesn't work as it should. You should have separate communities, and you could look at the workload and the resources for the one community and the workload and the resources for the next, the population. A second community, you would have to perhaps trade with your first community. You would have to progress their tech. Maybe they would start with lesser tech than your main community. Those are all the things that I would love to see coming to in a future update of Dawn of Man. I don't expect any of those things to be coming in this update. I'd love to see in this update Armoury, perhaps an abatis defense structure outside the walls, maybe a catapult. But in terms of the Armoury, definitely I'd love to see a helmet. But what I am seeing, I'm loving. I'm loving the Armoury building. I am loving the leather and the chainmail outfits. I thoroughly enjoyed the Farm of Man, the Dawn of Man farming update. Ploughing is still such a joy to watch, and I cannot wait for version 1.6. I can't think that it's that far away, because they are finalising some of their images. You can see that on Twitter. The hype is absolutely real, guys, and I hope you'll join me. Watch my videos, follow my Dawn of Man journeys, because I will certainly be playing this and starting a fresh new game when we get this Armoury update. So that's all for this video, guys. If you've got any hints, tips, comments, criticisms, if there's anything that you would like me to discuss, please do post them in the comment section. If you haven't already, please take a look at my other videos. If you like them, give them a like, and if you haven't, do consider subscribing. I'm very grateful that you've watched this video. Until next time, guys, you stay safe and take care.